Well, for more reaction on the story tonight, we're joined by the ATM's spokesperson, that's the African Transformation Movement, Zama Ntshona. Zama, good evening. Thanks for your time. The Reserve Bank then describing its findings really, quite in about just 2 sentences, saying that it finds that there was no perfected transaction and therefore there wasn't any contravention of exchange control regulations. What do you as the ATM understand that to mean?
Thank you so much. In fact, as the African Transformation Movement, we find that to be very strange because the president, when he was addressing the Limpopo conference, had declared that the money from the sofas was his. You can only make that claim when the transaction is completed. He did not say that it was money from the buyer. He did not say it was money of the buyer. But he personally said, it was my money. I did not steal, but it was a transaction which had occurred and it was now his. Now, if a president says that, how do you come and say that the transaction was not perfected? 2, the South African Revenue Services, SARB, said that the president on this transaction was tax compliant. The Ndabanyoni close cooperation was tax compliant on this transaction, which means that they actually paid what was due to the taxman on this. How do you pay on a transaction that is not perfected? For us as the African Transformation Movement, we totally reject this. We see this as nothing else but another institution in South Africa that is trying to bend over backwards to please the president. But we must be worried by now. Why is it that the acting public protector, even though everyone saw it as green, called it as red? Why is it that the Reserve Bank, even though that most people saw it in a particular way, but they are calling it in this manner? And now, similar modus operandi. Give the outcome of your report or inquiry, then seal the document. They must not see. For us as the African Transformation Movement, this is worrying, truly so, because there is no way that you can call this an unperfected transaction.
Zama,
second, on the other hand, all right.
Sure. When we look at part of what then we are left to try and extrapolate out of the statement given by the Reserve Bank, the fact that the buffalo effectively did not arrive to Mr. Mustafa, that seems to be what the Reserve Bank may be relying on to say that the transaction was not perfected, was not completed. Does that change your view on this at all?
Not at all. The fact that the money was with the president claimed it as his, the president paid taxes on the money. The issue of the collection of the buffaloes is neither here nor there. A transaction occurred, that's one. 2, that money was there and it was illegally there. That's point number 2. Point number 3, that money was there and it was not declared for the 30-day period which is a prescription, which is prescribed for it to be declared. That is also another issue. That's point number 3. So the issue of the collection of the buffaloes is neither here nor there. There could be a number of factors that contribute to that. And some of those, they actually include what many have always alluded to, that there was no sale to start with. This was money laundering. That could be more problematic.
So, Zama, you're clearly dissatisfied with the reasons given by the Reserve Bank. Let's talk about your next steps. I would imagine one of the first places to begin is to try and get this report made public, even if it is a redacted version of the report that would, not have any information that, of course, may contravene the privacy elements that involve both the Reserve Bank and the President.
Thank you so much. For us as the African Transformation Movement, we feel first that this phenomenon that is now normalized of sealing everything that has to do with the president must come to an end, especially when he's being investigated with serious allegations and violations of various laws in the country. So I agree with you. The first thing to do is that report must be given to the people of South Africa. This is a matter of national importance. There's another case a few months ago where somebody had foreign currency. That individual is languishing behind bars right now. There's a case of a deputy director of fisheries who just got released right now for violating PRECA. The president on both accounts on similar charges is nowhere charged nor in jail. So this thing must come to an end, and it's going to start with them releasing that report.
Sorry about that, Zama. Is it really fair to then say that the Reserve Bank has not done its job and its findings on this report are incorrect, based solely on the fact that, by all indications, the ATM believes that the president has committed a crime, that he has done something wrong here?
We have the confessions of the president, which speak to a completed transaction. How do you come and say it is a transaction that is not perfected? What is even that concept of an unperfected transaction? You usually get that with security, not with transaction. So this is why they must release the full report so that we can satisfy ourselves that they are not bending over backwards to accommodate the president. The president must not...
Yeah. Of course, the Reserve Bank, and I mean in very carefully crafted language, again in the statement, goes on further to say that any other entities, any other matters that may relate to the breach, if any, of any other law or otherwise, like I said, very carefully crafted language, are matters that are to be addressed with the relevant authorities. So effectively, the Reserve Bank is saying, we found no wrongdoing on our part, but if there may be any wrongdoing, that's in the hands of another investigative authority, not us.
But the question of the transaction in foreign currency is within their jurisdiction. So this is why we do not get, why is it? I've listed violations here, and they still found out their conclusion of the matter does not speak consistently to the violations and the admissions from the horse's mouth.
All right. What needs to happen now, Zama, and perhaps we can also talk about the role that the Hawks then also have to play, because their investigation into this matter is quite crucial. We've heard from the public protector, we've heard from the acting public protector, rather. We've heard from the Reserve Bank. A lot now rests on the Hawks and its findings.
For us as the African Transformation Movement, the Reserve Bank must release the report. The report must be scrutinized to the core, and we will be in consultation. In the event that they do that, we'll be in consultation with the legal teams that we have, so that we can see to it that everything was above board. In the event that it happens that it is not consistent with the laws of this country, the spirit of the constitution of this country, and then we have arbitrary platforms that we can use. But for now, the most important thing, the report must be released.
All right. ATM spokesperson Zama Ntshona, we'll leave it there with you for tonight.